Hi, this is James Gordon here with the fifth book in the James Bond series, the book I'm reviewing today, From Russia with Love. This was first published by Jonathan Cape on April 8th, 1957. This edition from Triad Panford was originally published in 1978, and this reprint edition is from 1982. This I really enjoyed a lot more than the fourth previous book in the series, Diamonds Forever. This book is a lot better. Ian Fleming makes many improvements to the story. He improves characters. Uh, Dialogue I felt was a lot better. The plot I felt was a lot better, and overall I just love the whole build up of this uh, opening scene with the villains plotting to get back at James Bond and MI6 and their plan. And the first half of the book just follows the villains. James Bond is not introduced to later on in the story, and once after it's done talking about what the villains are plotting, and then goes to James Bond and what he and M think of this mission that he's about to do, and they suspect it's a trap, but as I'll explain in my review, the opportunity is worth the risk to see if it will pay off in the end or not. And overall, I really enjoyed this book. I will say the first and second act are really good. However, the third and final act I felt could have been a lot better. Like, um, it, oh, I won't reveal what happens at the end, but I just wish the third act could have been a lot better. Like, I just was like the first two acts are get off to a really good start, but the third act I felt it kind of was lacking more action when it needed it the most, and I just kind of wish Ian just added a couple more pages to make the story a bit longer, as I felt he was trying to kind of just wrap up the ending as quickly as possible, and I felt there's so many scenes he could have improved with the third and final act of the book. But overall, I enjoyed this book very much, and definitely looking forward to reading the next book in this series. All right, onto the book review. Plot: the head members of the Soviet spy service SMERSH, located in Moscow, come together to discuss a plan of getting revenge on MI6 for the deaths of Lee Shafra, Mr. Big, and Hugo Drax. They consider targeting M, but very little is known about him, and is difficult to follow, so they choose their next target, Secret Agent 007 known as James Bond. As the head of SMERSH, General G issues a death warrant. They plan to embarrass MI6 by posting about his death along with releasing a sex film after his death. They choose their most skilled and dangerous agent, Donovan Red Grant, an Irish and German boxer and soldier for the British Army, defected to the USSR after disobeying orders, along with nearly killing a man during a boxing match in Berlin. Grant Red is a very tall and heavily built man with short golden hair, pale blue eyes, able to withstand pain, and takes pleasure in killing his victims. He has no friends and uses violence for anything he wants. Then, at the age of 16, during a full moon, he felt the urge to kill and began killing animals in the countryside of Ireland before moving on to people, mostly murdering older people to younger women when he turned 18, but had to flee the country when police were searching for the Moon Killer. After joining the British Army along with taking part in boxing matches, while he enjoys this, but controlling his urges to kill became difficult and would get drunk to pass it off. After the events in Berlin, he went up to a Soviet bastion and told the person at the office he wants to work for the Secret Service as he specializes in killing. Grant proves himself, and despite the intense and harsh conditions they put him through, he quickly became a high-ranking member of SMERSH. Grant is at his luxury mansion with a beautiful model looking after him as he strangled a man earlier as he lies naked outside of the pool. He receives a phone call from SMERSH and is later picked up by a car, then flown to Moscow for his mission briefing. Head of the execution department, Colonel Rosa Coop, tests Grant by having him stripped naked and punching him hard in the gut with a pair of brass knuckles. Still standing as he chuckles, he passes the test. Next, Rosa chooses Tanya Ravato, a young and very beautiful woman working for the Soviet Army Intelligence. She will pose as a clipper clerk and will be the bait for James Bond by falling in love with him, along with fooling MI6 that she wants to defect from her post in Istanbul to England by offering them a Spectre, a coding machine. However, Rosa doesn't reveal much of the mission to Tanya, keeping most of it a secret from her. She also enjoys seeing the beauty in Tanya by having her nearly stripped naked, and Grant will kill James Bond as he looks forward to taking on a real challenge. Meanwhile, James is a bit depressed after Tiffany Case left him for American Marine and is thinking of retiring when he gets a urgent call from M. Leaving his flat and drives over to MI6. When he shows up at M's office, he tells him one of their contacts in Istanbul, Darko Karim, a man he has known very well and has told him about a MGB agent, Tanya, wants to defect to the British and is willing to help them get a Spectre coding machine. But on one condition, she wants James Bond, as she told Kuria that she read all the records on Bond and trusts him to get her out of Turkey. Both James and M are skeptical about this, but knowing they won't get another chance of owning that coding machine, James accepts the job. James is given a large case to bring the Spectre back, along with extra ammo and other tools he'll need for the job from Q. Arriving in Istanbul on Friday the 13th, James is greeted at the airport and taken to his hotel at the Crystal Palace in a late black model Rolls Royce, while someone follows him on a scooter. The next day he is picked up and taken to meet Kerman, a very large man. Kerman comes from a very big family, as most of his older children work for him, and is also good friends with M. After talking a bit about Kerman's family history and going out for lunch, he brings him back to his office and pulls a secret lever hidden on a bookshelf, taking them to the sewers of Istanbul. Kerman leads James to the office where the Russians have the Spectre coding machine. Using a submarine periscope Kerman got from the Turkish Navy, they are able to look inside the room where it's being held, as Kerman also reveals he got ties with the politics, allowing him to gain any information he needs. James is really impressed by Kerman's work. However, he still has to earn Tanya's trust, which there's only one way of gaining it, pleasing her after sex. Kerman has a favor to ask from James, but before that, the two go to watch two gypsy women fight each other to the death to win the heart of a man they love at a campsite. Kerman tells James not to get involved, as if he does, the one will attack anyone who tries stopping them. The two gypsies, a short yet cute-looking one, while the other is a bigger, bustier woman. When the bell rings, the two gypsy women fight each other, along with tearing off their clothes till they're both fully naked. The bigger woman nearly kills the other, but the short woman bites into the breast, forcing the bigger woman to let her go. But before one of them can get back into the fight, a loud boom goes off, followed by a bullet nearly hitting James. Everyone flees, with masked men appearing out of the darkness trying to kill James and Kerman. Both men use a mixture of their guns and throwing knives to take out the armed men. They learn the men were sent from Krylensu, a Russian that's trying to kill Kerman. They track him down to a small apartment close by to the train station. Using a custom-made sniper rifle from James's case, Kerman kills Krylensu, then returns James back to his hotel, where he's greeted by Tanya. After telling the information about the coding machine and how they're going to steal it, she seduces James easily, all the while two Russian agents film them having sex through a tinted mirror. After getting the Spectre, James, Tanya, and Kerman board the Orion Express to Paris, where they'll hand it over to MI6. However, he'll have to deal with Grant Red, who's been waiting to kill James Bond on a full moon, along with Rosa. The stakes are risen on this mission, as there's more to it, as this might be James Bond's last mission if his luck hasn't ran out yet. From Russia of Love was a good spy thriller and a major improvement over the fourth novel in the James Bond series. The beginning with Ian starting off with the villains as they set up this plan to both humiliate MI6 along with their plot to kill James Bond was an excellent way to start off the novel. Highly detailed locations and characters, as the story takes place in mostly Moscow, Istanbul, and the Orion Express. Characters were well crafted and layered, as two main villains, Grant Red and Rosa, were dark, twisted characters who both enjoyed getting off on violence. I also liked how darker and more serious this novel is, and not feeling silly like the last novel was. While the first and second act are very good, however, towards the end I felt could have been better, as the scene of stealing the Spectre coding machine is never shown, only mentioned in a newspaper. The finale with Bond and Grant wasn't that exciting, as James easily defeats Grant when he became too cocky, and the fight with Rosa wasn't that good either. However, the ending does end on a cliffhanger. As for the 1963 film with the same name with Sean Connery, I felt was a lot better, adding more to the plot, more action, a better finale between James Bond and Grant Red fighting each other on the train, along with the ending dealing with Rosa. And the first film to give James Bond gadgets used, which would come in handy for his mission. Despite the last part of From Russia with Love not being action-packed as I thought it would be, but still enjoyed this novel. Overall, I highly recommend From Russia with Love. It's a good spy thriller novel that any James Bond fan will enjoy. Alright, that's the review today. Hope you enjoy it. Yeah, I definitely liked From Russia with Love a lot better than Diamonds Forever. Like, I felt this book was a major improvement over the fourth one. This one's a lot more darker and serious. It is not silly ever. There's not really any humor in this book. It's more just like it's not. I wouldn't say straight to the point, but it's a lot more darker than the previous book was. I really like how the story starts off with the villains basically having this big plan to get back at MI6 and plotting to kill James Bond. I really liked as the two villains that appear in this book. Grant Red was a very twisted, dark character, and I was looking forward to seeing this guy get what's coming to him from all the people he and animals he's killed for fun, along with the other character who's an art-twisted person herself, Rosa, a really very kind of dark and very creepy older woman who enjoys killing her enemy, and also in the book it's hinted that she's a lesbian as she enjoys the beauty of younger women in the book, as I mentioned in my review. Um, Also, we get to learn some of the members of SMERSH, as there's a lot of characters that appear in the beginning of the book who are plotting this whole revenge plan at MI6 and stuff. So I really like that. And the scenes where James Bond is in Istanbul with the person he's teamed up with, I really enjoyed those scenes as well. This was actually something interesting. I was wondering when one of these books was going to feature Q, like the guy that gives James Bond his gadgets and stuff. Well, it turns out he's never shown ever in the book. He's only mentioned throughout the series. Like, it isn't until the later book series when they started to feature Q as a character in the story. So I was actually surprised to find out that Q is never mentioned. He's never shown the books. I mean, he's mentioned, but he's never shown. So I was kind of surprised by that. So in the book, he does get his case, which contains like extra ammo for his gun, tools, and a custom kind of like silent sniper which he uses in the book later on, which is shown in the movie and stuff. However, this suitcase does not have the really cool feature where if you twist the what is it, the knobs on it, it activates a trap that or it has the hidden blade, which I was hoping would be in the book, but it's not. Um, so it's really cool in the book. It has the scene where basically it's got that submarine scope, which they use to again to like see through the Soviet office where the coding machine is. I thought that was cool, but the book doesn't show the scene how James Bond steals the Spectre machine. It's never shown. It's only mentioned in the newspaper, which I thought that was kind of to me like a lame idea. I would have liked it if he added the scene where it shows how they did it, because in the movie they show how they steal the coding machine. Um, the other thing with the book I didn't like was the finale between James Bond and Grant Red. I was expecting it to be like this big epic fight, just like in the film, but in the book it's very short and simple. And I thought, come on, you said like that's the one thing I didn't like with the book. I thought Ian gave us such a good villain for this book for this story, and he has James Bond easily defeat him no challenge whatsoever. Basically, Grant gets cocky and persistently calls James Bond an old man, which I thought James was gonna like snap back and say something, but he doesn't. I thought, come on, you could have your character snap back at Grant. But how he defeats like Grant is very easy. I thought there was no challenge to it. Like James Bond just does like the simplest thing to easily beat him. I thought, come on, it could have been more challenging. Um, so that part I didn't like, and then the finale between James Bond and Rosa was another one where basically she attacks James Bond and she gets easily captured. It's not like in the film where it's like she put up like a hell of a fight before being taken down. So that was kind of another disappointing thing I didn't like with the book. And I remember the film having like a lot more action in it, which is what I really liked. Um, I'm not going to give away how this story ends, but it does end on a very intense cliffhanger. So I will kind of talk about that ending in the next book in the series. Um, but overall, I enjoyed For Rush for Love. It was a really good spy for a book. Definitely improvement over Diamonds Forever, and I'm definitely looking forward to read more of the James Bond series. Oh, this was something I forgot to mention in my review of Dines Forever, which is another thing I'm glad Ian Fleming didn't bother writing in in this book. There was this one part in Dines Forever where James Bond's being chased by the mob guy on in the ghost town. He's like on the train, and there's a part where James Bond swears, and I guess Ian put the words, and then the publisher erased the whatever word he put, and so there's just a comma, blank, and a comma. So it basically all it says blank said Bond. Fine. You're gonna put that in the book, blank said Bond. So I think it's up to the reader to figure out what James Bond said, but I think I can imagine James Bond probably said shit. But really, the publisher is not going to allow like one swear word in the book. Like, come on. So Ian didn't bother doing that for much love, which is good because I thought it'd be silly if I saw that again. If James Bond swore and it just said blank, I'm glad that was not in the book. Um, yeah, as for the other characters we come to know, Kerman was a really interesting character, and the Soviet intelligence officer Tanya, I thought was okay, but to me it was like she's just this character that's just basically being used by this by these enemy spies, and she doesn't really know the purpose of her mission, and she just goes head over heels for James Bond easily. And it was like I felt this character was a bit clueless. Like she doesn't really know what's really going on, and she doesn't really question her mission and stuff, and she's just like, oh, I just want to get in bed with James Bond. That's all she cares about, really. But yeah, she was an okay character, but the rest of the book I really enjoyed. So overall, I really enjoyed From Russia with Love. All right, on to the sixth book in the series, Doctor No. I'll be reading this tonight, as I'll be reading much as I can in this month to get the James Bond series completed on time, as I got another series planned out. Alright, that's it for the review today. Hope you enjoyed it, and please don't forget to subscribe to Arcturo Library, the YouTube channel, and the Facebook group of the same name, a place to watch review of fiction. Until then, I'll catch you later.